Hey guys, it's Mr. Bicen here, and I'm doing every exam question that's ever been asked on histograms. Now, if you do want to use this document, like I always say, it is fully hyperlinked, and it's got all questions and mark schemes. So a couple of things you're going to need to remind yourself about with histograms, in fact, I might write it on this page here, is that you need to know that the frequency density is simply equal to the frequency divided by the class width. Now, another thing that might be helpful is to think that the frequency is equal to the frequency density multiplied by the class width. And if you think about this, the frequency multiplied by the class width, the frequency density multiplied by the class width, that actually ends up as being the area of the bar. So it is the same thing as the area of a bar. That is what the frequency is going to be. So I might be using these things quite a bit in this, okay? So it says here that the histogram shows some information about the ages of 134 members of a sports club. 20% of the members of the sports club who are 50 years of age, who are over 50 years of age, are female. Work out an estimate for the number of female members who are over 50 years of age. So I'm going to just actually draw in a line. I'm interested in this idea of them being over 50. So if I just kind of split this part of the graph, these are where people are 50 years or older. And it's just saying that 20% of these people are going to be female. So I'm actually just going to find out the areas of the different bars that we've got. So if I find out the area of this bar that we have, well, along the bottom it's going from 50 to 60. So along the base it's 10. And the height of it, if this is 1 and 1.5, each 2 squares is 0.1, so it's going to be 10 times by 1.4, which is just 14. So this part represents 14 people who are older than 50. This is because I've said that the frequency is the frequency density multiplied by the class width. So it's the frequency density, the height, multiplied by the class width. Again, the area is the frequency. Area equals frequency. Now, if I work out the area of this bar that we've got, along the bottom, between here to here, that's going to be 60 to 90, that's going to be 30, and the height of this one, this is 0.5, it'll go 0.6, 0.7, so it's going to be a 0.7 here, so it's a 30 times by 0.7. Now you can do that on your calculator because it's a calculator paper, but 3 times 7 is 21, and when you times by 10 and divide by 10, you do just end up with this 21 here. So the total for the over 50s, so the over 50s is 14 plus 21, which is 35, and the females are going to be 20% of 35, well 10% is 3.5, so 20% is 7, and again you could do that on your calculator, but I think the answer for this should be 7, and there is the 7 that we've got there. Okay, this one says the histogram shows information about the times taken by some students to finish a puzzle. Complete the frequency table for this information. Well, like I just said, the frequency is literally just the area. So in this first one, it is 5 multiplied by 0.8, and 5 times 0.8 is 4. So my calculation for this next one, between 5 and 15, well, between 5 and 15, the class width is 10, and the height is 0.4, and 10 times 0.4 is 4. Between 15 and 25, the class width along the bottom is 10, and the height is 0.6, and 10 times 0.6 is 6. We've then got 25 to 30. Well, the class width is 5, and it's going all the way up to 1, so that's 5 times 1. And then our last bit, between 30 and 50, the class width is 20, and it's going up to 0.2. 20 times 0.2 is just going to be 4. And so this is all the stuff we needed. It's literally just a bit of multiplication. It then says find an estimate for the lower quartile of the times taken to finish this puzzle. Well, let's find out how many people that there are. So we've got 4, 4, 6, 5, and 4. Let's just do this all on our calculator. So 4, 4, 6, 5, and 4. There are 23 people. Now, the lower quartile, we've got two options. We can either do 23 plus 1 divided by 4 to find out what position it would be. 23 plus 1, that's 24 divided by 4. 24 divided by 4, that's the 6th position. Or you can just do this. Or you can just do 23 divided by 4. You don't have to do the plus 1 because of the fact that it's grouped in the table. Either of them are fine. Now, when I do 23 divided by 4, I get 5.75, and actually I'm just going to prefer to do the 6th position. I just think it's going to be easier to find the 6th position as an estimate. So I'm not going to use this one, I'm actually going to do this top one. Now the 6th position, there are 4 people in this 0 to 5 group, so the 6th position is going to be halfway of these 4 people between 5 and 15. So I'm going to say that the 6th position is halfway along the 5 to 15 group, and that is just going to be 10. So the answer for this one is just going to be 10, because the 6th person is probably going to be at 10, and that's why it says it's an estimate here. So let's see, we've got our 4, 6, 5, 4, and we've got the 10. And notice how they've got the 2 different ways of doing this, and the 10 is what corresponds to this. If you do the 5.75, you can do the 9.375. It's annoying because when you go to A level, this is what they want you to do, but here you've got a choice of which one you do. Okay, I'm just going to put this to the other side, so I usually keep it. It says the table shows information about the distances of 570 students, that 570 students travel to a university open day. Draw a histogram for this table. So I'm going to need to find out the frequency density. Now, if the frequency is the area, you're going to do the frequency divided by the class width to find that out. And we did say that on the first slide. So the frequency density is the frequency divided by the class width. Well, the class width of this part is going to be a 20. Between 20 and 50 is 30. 50 to 80 is 30. 80 to 150 is 70. And 150 to 200 is 50. So I'm going to do this one divided by this one. I'm going to do quite a few of those, okay? So I'm going to do, let's keep it on this side. Don't know why I'm moving it around so much. I'll do 120 divided by 20. That's 6. I'm then going to do 90 divided by 30. That's obviously 3. 120 divided by 30, that's going to be a 4. 140 divided by 70, they've given us some really easy numbers here. 140 divided by 70 is 2, and 100 divided by 50, I feel ashamed I've used my calculator. 100 divided by 50 is 2. Obviously we didn't need a calculator, but sometimes it's just good to check stuff. So we're going to draw the values that we're going to be drawing here. These are the most important ones. We want that to be our frequency density. Now they've not given us anything along the side here, so we better make sure that we label it. We want the top value to be a 6. So I'm going to make it super easy. I'm just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And of course, it would go up to 8 as well. So between 0 and 20, now they've really done some annoying scales along the bottom here. So if this is 50, I think 2 squares is going to be 10. So that's going to be 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, then it's going to go 60. Let's just put on the values that we actually need, shall we? So we want 0 and 20, which means it's going to be that bit. Then we want 20 to 50. Then we want 50 to 80, well that would be 80. Then we want 80 to 150, and then 150 to 200. So I'm going to do these with some lines here. So the first one wants to go all the way up to 6, and that's just 4 little squares. Then I want to come all the way back down here. Then we're going to do between 20 and 50, that is going up to just 3. And then we're going to do 50 to 80, that is a frequency density of 4. It's going to annoy me that that is wonky. Probably very boring watching this right now. Then we're going to do 80 to 150, that is going to be going up to a frequency density of 2. And then our last part is a frequency density of 2 from 150 to 200. And that is what our histogram should look like. It now wants us to estimate the median distance. So there are 570 students. Now you could do the +1 divide by 2, but I'm actually just going to keep it really easy. I'm just going to do 570 divided by 2. 570 divided by 2, yes, I could do this without a calculator, but it is going to be 285. So I'm looking for the 285th position. Now, you could actually do the cumulative frequency. I'm going to do the cumulative frequency for the table as well, okay? I'm going to squeeze it in here in a red colour. So it's going to go 120. When I add on 90, I get 210. And when I add on 120, I get 330. Now, because I'm looking for the 285th position, I'm wanting something that is halfway, not halfway, but somewhere in between the 210 and 230. So let's just quickly do 210, that's the 210th, and the 330th, sorry. And we're looking for the one that's in between at 285. The 285th, well, this is a gap of 65, and then this is a gap of 45 that we've got here. So we're saying that between 30 and this is 45, between here and here is 285. So the fraction of the way that along this group that I'm going to go, I want to go 65 out of 110. That's 65 out of this whole group here, which is 110. I want to go that far along the group, and the group is a 30 group. So let's just quickly work out what this bit is. This is a pretty tricky question. So we do 65 out of 110. We're going to go that fraction of the way along the 30 group, which is about 17.7. So that's how far along the 50 to 80 group is. So I'm going to do 50 plus 17.7, which is 67.7. So this is all my working for part B of the question. Now you could also probably do it using the graph. You could think about the different areas and going halfway along the areas, but we'll see if we've got the right answer for this bit as well, okay? So we've got the diagram, and they've got anything between 66 and 71. Well, we got 67.5, which is actually like just well positioned there. Okay, so let's see if we got the histogram. Yeah, we got the 63422. 63422, perfect. I think it's a really difficult one. This is actually called interpolation, and it's in A-level maths as well. Okay, we're going to draw a histogram for this one. So I'm going to do my class width, 140 to 150. That's a class width of 10, 5, 5, 5, and then 15. So our frequency density, remember it's that one divided by that one. So 15 divided by 10, that's 1.5. 30 divided by 5 is 6. 51 divided by 5 is going to be 10.2. And then we're going to do 36 divided by 5. Why is my calculator going crazy? We're going to do 36 divided by 5, which is 7.2. And then our last one is 18 divided by 15, which is going to be very small. It's just going to be a 1.2. Now I'm going to try and think about how high I need to go. The biggest is 10.2, so it could go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Perfect. I'm going to get this frequency densities and just move them across so that I am not going to be getting in the way of my diagram. Okay, I'll do the axes in black so it doesn't confuse. So we said it's going to go 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And along the bottom, we need to go all the way up to 180. So it could go 140, 150, 160, 170, 180. So along the bottom, 140, 150, 160, 170, and 180. And we should probably label these. I wonder if I labelled it a few graphs ago. I didn't actually label it here, so I'm just going to say this is the frequency density. I don't think I've had to draw any of the other ones, but I'm going to make sure I actually label it here. So we've got our frequency density, and along the bottom we're just going to say it is the height, and that is h. Okay, so we need to do the 140 to 150 group, needs to just go up to a frequency density of 1.5. I'm going to just sort of zoom in a little bit so that we can hopefully see these. From 140 to 150 it wants to go up to 1.5. 1.5 is going to be around about there. Don't know why I've not got the correct tool on. Okay. The next one that we have, if I just make that a little bit longer. The next one is a 150 to 155, and we're going all the way up to 6. Then we're going up to 10.2 for the next group. 10.2, it's just going to be one little extra square above the 10. Okay, then we're going to go to 7.2 for the next group. 7.2 will be here. And then for our 165 to 180, that's our widest group. It's just going to be 1.2. 1.2 is just to here. And we can go down like that. So that's 3 marks for that histogram we've got there. It then says work out an estimate for the fraction of the students who have a height between 150 and 170. So I'm going to try and find out the areas between 150 and 170. Let's do this in a slightly different colour. I'm going to do this in like a green kind of colour for a second. So 150 to 170 is everything that is between here. I can move that so it's perfectly at 150. And then 170. So I'm going to try and find out the fraction of these people. Well, I actually know what some of these areas are because they're already in the question, okay? I know that the area of this 150 to 155 group, that's 30, 51, and 36. So this is a 30, 51, and 36. And then this last part, it's just going to be 1/3 of this section that we've got here. It's a third of that area. So I'm just going to say that it's an 18 divided by 3, which is equal to 6. So actually there's going to be, if I highlight that as well, that's going to be a 6. So these bits here are 6. So what we need to do to find out a fraction who have that height, I'm going to add up the bits that are in yellow and I'm going to divide it by how many there are. So that's 30, 51, 36 and 6. And there are in this whole this whole histogram 150. So putting this all together, we get 30, 51, 36 and 6, and that's divided by 150, and as a fraction that is 41 over 50. Let's give myself a little bit more space to write my answer of 41 over 50. It's an estimate because we guessed that this was going to be a 6 at this point by saying that it was a third of the width. So let's check that we've got this right with our 41 over 50. They have said 123 over 50. I wonder if I've just typed something in the calculator wrong. There's a high likelihood of me having done something like that. 30, I think I probably did. Let's look on the calculator again. 30, 51, 36, and out of 150. Oh, it's the same thing. Very foolish of me. 123 out of 150 is the same fraction. So we did get the 1.5, the 6, the 10.2, the 7.2, and the 1.2. Okay, this histogram gives information about the heights in meters of trees in a park. It's incomplete. It says 20% of the trees in the park have a height between 10 meters and 12.5 meters. None of the trees in the park have a height greater than 25 meters. Complete the histogram. So between 10 and 12.5, which is actually the gap that we've got here, this bit that we're going to do is going to be 20% of them. So it means these bars are 80%. So I'm going to work out some different areas that we've got, okay? Each time I draw on a bar, it's going to be the area. So it's going to be a 2.5 for this, multiplied by, that looks like it's going to be a 1.2. So this part is going to be 2.5 times 1.2. Let's do that on the calculator. 2.5 times 1.2, that is 3. My next bar is going to be a 2.5 multiplied by 2. So it's going to be a 5. Between 5 and 10, well, there's going to be a 5 along the bottom, and that is going to be multiplied by 5 multiplied by, this looks like it's 2.8. So it's going to be a 5 multiplied by 2.8, which is 14. And then the last part, running along the bottom, that is 10, 25, not 25, excuse me, 5, 10, 12.5 along the bottom, and we're going to be multiplying it by the height of that bar, which is 0.8. So we're going to do 12.5 times 0.8, which is 10. So there are 10 trees here, and I'm going to get rid of this thing that this is about 20%. So I've got an area, the areas are 5, 3, 14, and 10, and they must represent 80%. So very quickly, if I do 3 plus 5 plus 14 plus 10, 32 trees are 80%. And we need to find out 20% of the trees to complete the histogram. So 20%, if 80% are 32, 20% will be 32 divided by 4, which is 8 trees. So I need to represent 8 trees. So the area is going to be 8, or the frequency is going to be 8. If the area is going to be 8, and we know that the area is going to be the frequency density multiplied by the class width is 2.5, and that has got to be equal to 8. I'll do 8 divided by 2.5 to get the frequency density. And 8 divided by 2.5 is 3.2. So the frequency density that I'm going to draw is going to be 3.2 for this bar. So 3.2 looks like it's actually going to overlap with something I've already written, so I'll move that. And 3.2 is going to be here. And that should be our bar completed. Let's see if we've got it right. So it is a bar with a height of 3.2. Okay, I think this is the last one. No, there's 2 more. Okay, so this is a long video. Some people took part in the first round of a competition. The histogram gives information about the scores of these people in the first round. 20% of the people got a score high enough for them to qualify for the second round. Work out an estimate for the score needed to qualify for the second round. You must show all your working. So I'm going to just find the areas of all of these different bars. I'm going to do them nice and quick. So this is 5 multiplied by 0.8, and 5 times 0.8 is 4. This is going to be a 10 multiplied by 1.6, and 10 multiplied by 1.6 is 16. This is going to be a 10 multiplied by 2.2, which is 22. And then the last one that we've got is going to be 15 multiplied by 1.2. That's the only one I'm going to do on my calculator. 15 multiplied by 1.2 is 18 that we've got here. So we need to find out what that is in total. I'm going to do 4 plus 16 plus 22 plus 18. So the total is going to be 60. And we want to just make 20% of them have a high enough score. So 20% of 60 is just going to be 12. So we need to try and make a bar that has an area of 12. So actually you can see where it's going to be, because 12 related to 18 is going to be 2/3 of that. So we're going to want it here. If you can't quite spot that, we're going to try and find out what the class width is going to be. The class width will be the area, which is 12, divided by the frequency density, which for this last bar is 1.2. And 12 divided by 1.2 is 10. So that means I want to have a bar with a class width of 10, and that is going to be my section. If I just quickly switch to a different color here, if I say that everything above here is going to be 20%, so this is where 20% are to the right of this, meaning my answer is going to be 30 for the score to qualify. So we're going to say 30 is the qualifying score, because above that is 20% of the area. This is 20% of the whole area. Let's see if we've got this one. So there's the 30 we've got there, and here's this process if you do want to pause the video and have a look. I think this is the last one. Jeez, this is long. I've still got 2 more. Okay, I'll go as quick as I can on this one. Histogram gives information about the distribution of the weights of some onions grown by a farmer. Onions less than 60 grams in weight are used for pickling. Onions greater than 120 grams are used, it's sold at the market. The rest of the onions are sent to a food processing factory. A pie chart is drawn using the information opposite to show what the farmer does with the onions that he grows. The angle of the sector for the onions sent to the food processing factory is x degrees. Work out the value of x. Okay, well, it looks like it probably is accurately drawn, but I think we're going to want to just quickly work out some of the areas of this. So I'm going to just see how quickly we can find some of these areas. So this first area that we've got is going to be 60 multiplied by 2, which is 120. We've got 30 multiplied by 5, which is 150. We've then got, for the next part, 30 multiplied by 9, and 30 multiplied by 9 is going to be 270. Then this last part, this looks like if it's halfway between 120 and 150, that's going to be a gap, because this bit is 30. This is going to be a 15, so it's a 15 times 6. And 15 times 6 is 90. So this one is 90. And then our last one, that's going from 135 to 180. So that's a 45 class width along here, and it's multiplying by 2. So that is also a 90. So the total of the onions is going to be 120 plus 150 plus 270 plus 90, which is 720. And we're going to try and reason with some of these things that we've got here. So the amount that are used for pickling is less than 60 grams. Less than 60 grams is 120. Then we're going to say that those greater than 120 are sold at the market. So greater than 120, there's 120, it's this 90 and this 90, which is 180. So the rest that are going to the factory are going to be 720 minus 120 minus 80. I guess I could have even just calculated these areas. Maybe I didn't need all of them. I probably did. So I'm going to do the 720 minus the 120 minus the 180. So that is 420. So the value of x is going to be 420 out of 720. It's going to be the fraction which go to the factory, and I'm going to multiply that for the total angles in a circle, which is 360. So let's just do this all on my calculator. I'm going to do 420 out of 720 because that's the fraction of the circle that I want it to be, and I'm going to multiply 360 and I get the answer of 210 degrees. Let's see if we've got this one right. So we do have the 210, we do need to find the total frequency and then finding out all these other bits that we've got down here. So if you want to look at the mark scheme in detail, you can either download the document or you can pause the video here and have a look. Finally, we're on the last one that we've got here. The histogram gives the information about the distances of 80 competitors, and it says calculate an estimate for the mean distance. So in a second, I'm going to want to do a table that goes with it, but I think to begin with, I'm going to find the areas of each section. So the class width between 6.4 and 7.2, well, that's 0.4, 0.8. So the class width is 0.8 and the frequency density is 10. 10 times 9, 0.8 is 8. I've then got a 0.4 and the height is 50. So I'm going to do 0.4 times 50 to get the area. 0.4 times 50, which is 20. This is also a 0.4 and it's times by 100. 0.4 times 100 is obviously 40. Hope I'm not doing this on a non-calculator. No, I'm not. And then this is a 0.2 along the bottom and it's timesing it by 60. So 0.2 times 60 is 12. We're going to find an estimate for the mean distance. So I'm actually going to change this now from the kind of question. I'm going to say the distance, then I'm going to do the midpoint, and then I'm going to do the frequency. In fact, I could probably just do the midpoint, you know. I'm just going to say it's the distance midpoint. And then we're going to do the same thing we would usually do. So the first midpoint is 6.8. That's this middle value. And the frequency is 8. The next midpoint is between 7.2 and 7.6, which is 7.4. And the frequency is 20. The next midpoint is 7.8 and the frequency is 40. And the next midpoint between 0.8 and 8.0 and 8.2, the midpoint is going to be 8.1 and that is for 12. So I can draw in a line here and a line here. I'm also going to multiply these things together now. So I'm going to do the midpoint multiplied by the frequency. So all of these things are going to get multiplied and totaled. And we're going to divide it by the total of the frequency, which is 80. So we're going to do 6.8 times by 8, 54.4. 7.4 times 20, 148. 7.8 times 40, which is 312. And 8.1 multiplied by 12, which is 97.2. So I'm going to add up all those numbers. That's 54.4, 148, 312, 97.2, and we get 611.6. So the mean, the estimate of the mean, is going to be the 611.6, because that's the total, divided by how many we've got, which is 80. So I can just do the answer divided by 80, and we get 7.645. Now they've not asked for us to do any kind of rounding, so I'm just going to leave it as that, and my units would be meters. 7.645, there it is like this. They would accept it if it had been rounded to 7.65. So that is everything on histograms. It seems to be a really popular kind of topic. If you did find this useful, I know it was a long video, please do just like the video, share it with any friends, consider subscribing to my channel. And if you're going to be doing A-level next year, go and check out Bicen Maths, which is my original channel, which has tons of things that will help you with your A-level studies.